Before we get into today's adventure, a quick note. If you enjoy watching people trudge around scenic places while desperately pretending they haven't taken a wrong turn, subscribe to Highland Explorer. It's the least you can do. No, really, the least you can do. It's just a button. You'll barely notice. Unlike my legs, which definitely notice this walk. Cumbernauld House Park, for those unacquainted, is one of those wonderful places where history and nature collide. And if you're lucky, so will your knee with a tree root. It's home to Cumbernauld House, a grand 18th century mansion built on the site of a medieval castle, because apparently the Stuart family looked at the perfectly good existing structure and thought, nah, let's start again. There's something very Scottish about this level of ambition. We could renovate, we could preserve, but no. Knock it down, build something bigger, pretend the past never happened. Just like my attempt to get into jogging, the original Cumbernauld Castle was a proper medieval fortress dating back to at least the 14th century. It was where Mary, Queen of Scots, allegedly stayed, because there isn't a single building in Scotland that she didn't allegedly stay in. Seriously, she got around more than an over-enthusiastic travel blogger. Unfortunately, the castle was burned down in 1651 during the Wars of the Three Kingdoms, which, let's be honest, is a suspiciously dramatic way for a building to go. If this were a soap opera, I'd suspect an insurance job. The Cumbernauld House you see today was built in 1731 by William Adam, Scotland's answer to Let's Make Things Fancy. Adam designed the house for John Fleming, the 6th Earl of Wigtown, presumably because John woke up one morning and thought, I'd really like to swan about in a Palladian mansion. Since then, the house has served various purposes, including being an aristocratic residence, council offices, and at one point it was even up for sale as luxury flats, which seems like the natural conclusion to all old Scottish mansions. Now, the park itself is glorious, a proper mix of grand old trees, open meadows, and just enough overgrown paths to make you question your survival skills. There are remnants of the old estate scattered throughout, like a mysterious wall here and an inexplicable pile of stones there. If you're feeling particularly romantic, you can pretend you're uncovering lost ruins. If you're like me, you can pretend you're looking for somewhere to sit down and breathe. Wildlife-wise, expect an enthusiastic turnout of squirrels, birds, and the occasional dog who's convinced you're hiding a sausage. And fair play to them. If I were a dog, I'd assume every human had a pocket full of meat treats too. One of the highlights is the old ha-ha, no, not a joke. Though my fitness levels were certainly laughable by this stage, a ha-ha is a sunken wall used in grand estates to keep livestock out of the gardens without ruining the view. Because nothing ruins a carefully manicured lawn like a rogue cow. No grand estate would be complete without a ghost story, and Cumbernauld obliges with the Grey Lady. Because if there's one thing Scottish ghosts love, it's being grey. Apparently, she wanders about in the dead of night, presumably annoyed that her massive house was turned into flats. On a more alive note, Cumbernauld itself has an odd reputation. Built as a new town in the 1950s, it was designed with grand urban planning dreams, which promptly met the reality of, well, Cumbernauld. It's got a bit of everything. Ancient history, futuristic planning disasters, roundabouts that double as existential mazes. But this park is a proper green escape. A reminder that sometimes the best bits of a place are the bits that have been there the longest. So, should you visit Cumbernauld House Park? Absolutely. It's got history, scenery, ghosts, and a perfectly respectable amount of places to pause and pretend you're admiring the view while actually catching your breath. And remember, if you've enjoyed this meandering, slightly unhinged journey through history and shrubbery, subscribe to Highland Explorer. You'll get more of this nonsense, and I'll get the validation I so desperately crave. It's a win-win.